Welcome back to another video. Today we're talking about another skill called assumption. So, when do we use assumption, and what kind of questions will come out involving assumption? So basically, assumption questions come out in the form of this way. First, there will be two items that appear in the question where there's a specific total. Like, let's say a certain number of chickens and a certain number of cows. That's a condition 1. And each item results in a certain quantity. Like let's say our chicken gives us legs, and our cows also gives us legs. But different chickens and cows have a different number of legs. Chickens have 2 legs and cows have 4 legs. So that's a different quantity. And these two quantity add up to another specific total. Like let's say I have 10 chicken and cows, and they give a total of, can I say, 20 plus legs. That's a condition 2. So in assumption questions, we are asked to find the number of one or both items. So after seeing this, and if you have watched the previous videos, you may ask, isn't this the same as guess and check questions? And the answer is yes. So what's the difference between guess and check and assumption? So guess and check, as the name suggests, is based on guessing. So it's completely based on luck at the start. Because at the start, you may not know where to start off. Unless you're extremely lucky, it can be very time consuming. Unless, like, you guess it spot on the first try. But for assumption is different, because assumption is a more straightforward and direct approach, and the steps are the same most of the time. And why is this so? Because assumption is based on the understanding of the relationship between the two unknowns, and how changing one unknown results in the change of the total, which I'll explain later again. So without further ado, let's look at this example. The same example as guess and check actually, and we can actually go and solve the question. So in the farm there are chickens and cows. There's a total of 15 heads and 42 legs. So how many chickens and cows are there? So first, what do we need to do is identify information and conditions, just like guess and check. We need these conditions to determine the plan for our approach. So again, an analysis, each animal has 1 head, so there's a total of 15 animals. And chicken has 2 legs, cow has 4 legs. In total, they give 42 legs. So now this is where our assumption method comes into play. So we assume all 15 animals are the same kind of animals. So in this case, I assume that all animals are chickens. So after doing that, we need to find the result of all animals being chickens. So we find the number of legs that 15 chickens result in, which is just 15 plus 2 equals to 30. After that, we can find the difference from the information given, which is our gap, which I'll also explain later. So the question asks for 42 legs, but if you have 15 chickens, you only get 30 legs. So there's a shortage. So we find this shortage, which is the difference. So the 42 legs minus 30, which is 12. So after we do this, we find the difference between the number of legs between the chickens and cows. So cow has 4 legs, chicken has 2 legs, we minus to get 2. And after that, we divide the bigger difference by the smaller difference. And that's the number of your other animal. So I'll explain more as we go through the steps. So we have our 12, which is our big difference. 42 minus 30, which gives us 12. And then we have 2. 4 minus 2 equals to 2. And 12 divided by 2 equals to 6. And 6 is our number of cows. And why is it our number of cows? Because at first we assume that it's chickens. So this division allows us to find the other thing that we didn't account for at the start, which is cows. And so you may ask, how does it work the other way? Does it actually work, or do you have to start from the lesser number of the animal, the lesser number of legs? Actually no. So okay, we look at this again. Assume all animals are cows. So the number of legs is 15/4, which is 60. And the difference in the number of legs from the question is 60 minus 42 equals to 18. And our difference between the number of legs a cow has and the number of legs a chicken has is still the same. For 4 minus 2 equals to 2. And note that this time the bigger difference is actually, how to say, it's a surplus instead of a shortage, excess. There are more legs than actually needed. So to find our number of chickens, we take 18 divided by 2. 18 our big difference, 2 our smaller difference, and we get 9. And you realize that number of chickens is 9, like what we found before. So our number of cows is the opposite, is 15 minus 9 equals to 6. So in the next video, I'll be actually explaining why this method works, the way the steps are arranged, and what is the thinking behind the process. But before this video ends, you can remember this acronym that I came up with, AGST. So A stands for all. You assume all are one type. If there are 20 cent or 50 cent coin, assume that all are 20 cent or what 50 cents. And then we also have G, gap. So our gap is basically our big difference. So what is the result of having all be one type? Would there be a shortage or would there be a surplus? And then after that, our small difference, which is basically the difference in that quantity provided by the two items. So if it's chickens and cows, probably the difference between the number of legs, 20 cent coin and 50 cent coin, the difference in value. And then after that is our D, which is divide. So we divide to find our other variable. Divide the big difference by the small difference to find what we did not account for at the start.